For November 2nd, 2003. Would the clerk please take roll?
Jonathan Shelkey. Here. Jerry DiTullio.
Here.
Christine Disney.
Here.
Daniel Gravy.
Here.
Patrick Quinn.
Here.
Will Kearns.
Here.
Daniel Larson.
Here.
And Janet Leo is absent tonight.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda that was published? Seeing none, the agenda will stand as published. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of October 19th, 2023?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Gravy. Any changes to the minutes? Please poll the commission.
Sorry if everybody can push. Oh, Christine, can you push yellow? Or just push yellow? Perfect. That's all right. Perfect. Motion approved 5-0, 2 abstain.
Thanks. The next item on the agenda is the public forum. This is the time for any person to speak on any subject not appearing on the agenda. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Do you have anybody from the public in council chambers or on Zoom that want to speak tonight?
Nobody on Zoom.
Before we have the public hearings, I'd like to swear everybody in, so please stand and raise your right hand. If you're going to speak tonight on item 7A, do you swear to tell the truth in this matter, the whole matter, nothing but the matter? Thank you. Item 7A is District 3, I believe. Commissioner Quinn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to introduce into, I am not very prepared right this second.
I know I caught myself off guard.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the summary and the title.
The request, Mr. Chair, Batcave LLC as owner of the south parcels and a representative for RX Pharmacies Plus Incorporated, owner of the north parcel, is requesting approval of a zone change from neighborhood commercial and restricted commercial to mixed use neighborhood MU-N. The zone change will result in one zoning across both parcels, will remove continuation of the MUN zoning from the east and reflect the transitional nature of this location in the character of the Wadsworth corridor. The applicant is proposing to rezone the properties to allow more flexibility and use of the land. Redevelopment is not proposed at this time.
And would you mind reading the case number and that summary? Right here.
Oh, I'm on the yellow one. Okay, wow, I messed up. I'm sorry, I blew
That's
it.
okay.
Case number WZ2308, an application filed by Batcave LLC for approval of a zone change from restricted commercial and neighborhood commercial to mixed-use neighborhood on properties located at 3650 and 3660 Wadsworth Boulevard.
Thank you. We'll move on to the staff presentation. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Elena Olivas-Loera, and I'm a planner with the City of Wheat Ridge Community Development Department. I'm presenting case number WZ2308, which is a request for approval of a zone change from restricted commercial and neighborhood commercial to mixed-use neighborhood at 3650 and 3660 Wadsworth Boulevard. I would like to enter into the public record the contents of the case file, the zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan, and this digital presentation. The property is within the City of Wheat Ridge. All appropriate notification and posting requirements have been met, and therefore Planning Commission has jurisdiction to hear this case. The subject properties are outlined in red. The properties are located on the east side of Wadsworth Boulevard between West 36th Place and West 38th Avenue. The area is primarily commercial to the north along Wadsworth and residential to the east and south. 3650 Wadsworth measures just under half an acre, and 3660 Wadsworth measures just over half an acre. This is a zoning map of the area. The subject properties are currently zoned RC and NC and are outlined in red. The site is adjacent to RC and R3 zoning to the north and south, and adjacent to large swaths of MUC and MUN zoning to the east and west. Surrounding land uses include commercial, multi-unit residential, and a church. This is a view of the subject properties looking east from Wadsworth Boulevard. Both properties contain converted residential buildings currently used for offices. This is a view of 3660 looking north on Wadsworth. And this is a view of 3650 looking south on Wadsworth. The applicant initiated the rezone to allow for a wider range of uses and to align the property zoning with the city's comprehensive plan and to align the zoning with other adjacent properties nearby and on the corridor. Should the zone change be approved, there are currently no plans for redevelopment of the properties. Staff very recently learned that both properties are now on the market for sale. The RC and NC zone districts allow for a limited range of commercial land uses, which include office, general business, and retail sales and service establishments. By contrast, MUN zoning allows residential uses, commercial uses, or a mix of the two, and the permitted retail uses are greater in number. The MUN designation would allow more flexibility for revitalization of the site and will provide standards for a future redevelopment. The MUN district is complementary to the context of the corridor and the surrounding zoning and land uses, and provides a wider range of allowed uses than the existing RC and NC zoning. This table summarizes the current and proposed zoning's development standards. Most of the proposed zoning development standards would apply if the property is redeveloped in the future. Most notable differences between the three zone districts include permitted uses, building height, setback requirements, and build-to requirements. The design standards in MUN are strict and include architectural standards, open space requirements, setbacks, and parking requirements. As a requirement of the zone change process, a neighborhood meeting was held on April 18th, 2023 in a virtual Zoom meeting setting. No one from the public attended the meeting. Because Wheat Ridge is not a full-service city, we sent the application on referral to outside agencies, including fire, water, and sanitation, as well as completed an internal review. We did not receive concerns or objections from outside agencies. Before the hearing, the properties were posted for 15 days, and letters were sent to property owners and occupants within a 600-foot radius. Staff received no comments from members of the public on Wheat Ridge Speaks prior to this hearing. We used several criteria to evaluate zone change requests, which includes consistency with the comprehensive plan and any other applicable plans. Staff believes that the proposed MUN zoning is consistent with the policies and goals in the city's comp plan. The properties are identified as a neighborhood buffer area and are along a primary commercial corridor within the structure plan. These designations are used for existing commercial areas and call for the promotion of reinvestment in properties and the promotion of a mix of neighborhood supporting uses, including residential and office use. The mixed-use neighborhood zoning designation is appropriate for the subject properties by enabling the possibility of a future redevelopment, which aligns with the city's adopted goals and policies. Ultimately, staff is recommending approval of the request for the following reasons. Based on the character and land use patterns of the area, the MUN zone district in this area is more appropriate than RC and NC in terms of allowed uses for the properties. For that reason, the zone change should not have an adverse effect on the surrounding area. Staff finds the zone change to MUN is supported by the city's comprehensive plan, specifically the vision for high-quality architecture and design, the revitalization of existing neighborhoods, and reinvestment in aging commercial properties. This zone change request supports the comprehensive plan by enabling investment in the property and by aligning the zoning with the city's mixed-use goals for the corridor. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have the applicant here tonight or on Zoom?
We do. They're
Oh.
sitting right here.
Would you like to make any comments tonight? Are you available for questions? Okay. So we'll move on to public's right to speak on this item. Do we have anybody to speak on Zoom on item 7A?
Nobody at this time.
Then we'll move on to commissioners' questions. I'll start with my left. Commissioner Shelkey? Thank you. Commissioner Quinn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. None at this time.
Commissioner Larson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a couple of questions. I think this would be for staff. With the reconstruction going on in Wadsworth, how much, what driveways will be, there's a driveway already in place, 36th, I believe it's called, and there's a private driveway further upstream. What will it look like when the street is finished?
That I'm not sure about. I don't know what the specific plans call for the Wadsworth project, so I can't answer that.
That's fine. The other, if you could explain just a little bit how the setback on the side of the building, under the existing commercial zoning, these rear is a 10-foot setback, and the two sides are 5 feet per story, but under MUN, the rear setback is 5 feet and the side are 0. Does that mean you can build right up to the property line?
You could potentially, yeah.
Okay.
There are exceptions to it if it is adjacent to residential use, but yeah, that's something that would be evaluated at the site plan process. So if we get an end user there at some point, we'll be able to evaluate that as far as site design goes.
I did have a question about the sidewalks, but it sounds like they haven't quite determined where the sidewalks are gonna, where they're gonna run.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they haven't determined it, but since we didn't know the question beforehand, we didn't actually analyze as part of the rezoning application for this evening that section of Wadsworth. But certainly, if you all do have questions like that, if you email us beforehand, we can get you an answer.
Great, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Disney?
I'm going to try to rephrase. If I'm to understand correctly, this is not being zoned mixed-use commercial because it's outside of the urban renewal, and that's why it's MUN?
No, not necessarily. It's primarily due to the size of the property, the size and the location of the property. Typically for these smaller properties, we designate those mixed-use neighborhood. The mixed-use commercial properties are typically much larger, what you normally would think of, like the Safeway or the Big Lots, those types of properties where they're much larger.
Okay, thank you. And then it is for sale, but we don't know whomever buys it, what they'll intend to do with it. But they'll have a little more leeway in terms of what they can do if it is rezoned to MUN.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gravy?
No additional questions.
Commissioner Kearns?
Can you just talk a little bit about how high they can build for mixed-use neighborhood? And I guess what types of uses are allowed for that?
Yes. So for height maximums in the mixed-use zone district, if it doesn't matter what is there, if it's a mixed-use building, if it contains any residential, it's limited to the city's charter at 35 feet in height. And if it's purely commercial uses, it could potentially go up to 50 feet in height.
Okay. Does this allow for retail uses?
Yes, it would.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess the only question I had was, is the current owners requesting the rezoning, or is there a buyer that's contingent upon rezoning?
It's the current owners. We don't have an end user or a buyer at this time, to my knowledge.
Thank you. Well, Any other questions before I close the public hearing? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and a motion's in order. Commissioner Quinn?
I'll get this one right. I say that, and then I lost my, my place. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to recommend approval of case number WZ 23-08, a request for approval of a zone change from neighborhood commercial NC and restricted commercial RC to mixed-use neighborhood MU-N for properties located at 3650 and 3660 Wadsworth Boulevard for the following reasons. The proposed zone change will promote the public health, safety, and welfare of the community and does not result in an adverse effect on the surrounding area. Utility infrastructure adequately serves the property. The proposed zone change is consistent with the goals and objectives of the city's comprehensive plan and consistent with the charter of Wadsworth Boulevard, or excuse me, the character of Wadsworth Boulevard. The zone change will provide additional opportunity for reinvestment in the area. The criteria used to evaluate a zone change supports this request.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval that was seconded by Commissioner Kearns. Any comments before we poll the commission? Please poll the commission.
Motion carries 7-0.
I think that was the fastest rezoning since 1907. Thank you. Congratulations. We'll move on to item 8, which is old business. Do we have any old business? Isn't everything new business nowadays? We'll move on to new business.
So,
Director.
dates. Yes, so I think I start with dates. So upcoming dates, we do not have any items for the November 16th meeting, but we may have an item for the December 7th. Did I say December? November 16th. December 7th, we have a tentative item that I know about currently. And then the 21st, we're not anticipating an item on the 21st, so probably not, although I will wait till we get a little bit closer to firm that up. Let's see, I don't really have any other updates from 2 weeks ago when we met, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to commissioners' matters. Commissioner Kearns, any comments, questions? Commissioner Gravy?
No, nothing to add, nothing at this time, thanks.
Commissioner Disney?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Larson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The election is just 4 days away. I would remind everybody that the drop boxes are available, and they will be available right up until 7 o'clock on Election Day. Please vote.
Commissioner Quinn?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Commissioner Shelkey?
Maybe this is more just a general question. On commercial properties, how long can an owner hang on to the properties?
In what context?
Well, a context, let's say the property is vacant, nothing's been in it for years. Can it just go on forever like that?
The property owner has the right to have a vacant building as long as they are upkeeping, things and paying taxes on it, I would assume. But if it becomes a code enforcement issue, then of course we would involve code enforcement. But
So unless it becomes a code enforcement issue, it just kind of go on forever.
well, even so, it depends on what the issue is. If it's weeds or something like that. But yeah, I mean, you would be entitled to. Are you asking if the city can force an owner to do something
Yeah,
with a vacant property?
right.
No, not generally.
As long as they're paying their taxes and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if, I don't know if you have a property in mind, but certainly you can give me a call anytime.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, speaking of taxes, property taxes, the Tabor checks went out from Jefferson County, and those checks are based on how much you paid in property taxes in Jeffco. It's nothing to do with the state or properties in HH. Those are property tax refund checks. And the question has been come up a couple of times is, why is there only one name on the check? And it's usually a male name on the check. And so some folks think that somehow there's a conspiracy out there sometimes to pick the male over the female. Well, what it is that when you close on your property, the title companies have listed the male first in a lot of cases, then the female, so we just pull the first name off of the title because the check only allows one name on the check. So in a lot of cases, especially in older generations, the man's name was on the title first. So if you want that changed, you can come in and file a quit claim deed and put your name first if you're female, and then it'll come in your name on the check. But on the property tax bills, that's a letter from the treasurer, and that is 2 names max. So you could see both your names on the property tax bill, but you'll never see your name twice or 2 names on the checks. When the checks are printed by the bank we use, they just pull the first name that we give them off the deed. So what we've been recommending to, especially if one of that name on the deed has deceased, it's best to always get that cleared up at the county, bring a death certificate in and get that changed so that your name is first on the deed. And then like Commissioner Larson mentioned, please vote. As of yesterday, Jefferson County only had a 16% return rate on ballots. I'm sure a lot of people will vote this weekend, but it's too late to mail it. And like was mentioned, there's a lot of ballot boxes all in Wheat Ridge, Arvada, Lakewood, that you can drop your ballots off. So that's what update everybody on. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Oh,
We have a motion to adjourn, second by Commissioner Disney. Please poll the commission.
Motion approved, 7-0.